What if the secret to silencing anxiety was never outside you, but quietly spiraling within you, in the very pattern that built your body, your thoughts, your breath? They call it the helix, not just the shape of your DNA, but the cosmic spiral that connects your mind, your nervous system, and the unseen rhythm of the universe itself. You've felt it before, that trembling current when fear rises without reason, when your chest tightens, your thoughts scatter, and time feels heavier. It's not just emotion, it's energy, trapped within the helix of your own being, waiting to be released, realigned, remembered. Science calls it the vagus response, a deep system that winds through your body like a living thread, regulating heartbeats, breath, and calm. But ancient mystics had another word for it, the serpent of stillness. They believed it could be awakened, not through medicine or control, but through remembrance, through the art of breathing, posture, and sacred awareness that mirrors the double helix itself. Imagine this. Every time you breathe in deeply, a spiral of light rises up your spine. Every time you exhale, that same spiral descends, cleansing the static noise within your nervous system. This isn't imagination. This is anatomy meeting energy. The helix is both, the design of life and the geometry of peace. When anxiety strikes, your helix tightens. Your breath shortens, your muscles contract, and your cells echo a message of fear. But when you activate the helix consciously, something divine happens. The pattern of stress unravels. The nervous system returns to its original rhythm, balance. Dr. Stephen Porges, in his book The Polyvagal Theory, explains how activating the vagus nerve can shift you from anxiety to calm in seconds. But if you look beyond the data, deeper into mystic writings like the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, you'll see the same truth echoed thousands of years ago. He who learns to command the serpent within commands the storms of the mind. Could it be that science is finally catching up to spirit? That the helix, whether seen as DNA or as sacred energy, is the same spiral that governs both healing and awakening? Close your eyes for a moment. Visualize two streams of golden light intertwining like vines, starting at your spine's base. Feel them twist upward slowly, forming the infinite helix. Each loop you imagine releases a knot of tension from your shoulders, your jaw, your heart. And with each breath, the anxiety begins to fade. Not because you're fighting it, but because you're remembering who designed you, a being built from divine geometry. The same spiral that creates galaxies forms your very code of life. And when you align with it consciously, anxiety loses its language. Because peace, unlike fear, doesn't shout. It hums, softly, through the helix within. So here's the truth. You don't need to escape your anxiety. You only need to remember the ancient shape of calm that already lives inside you. Let's make this a shared awakening. If you're watching this right now, I want you to pause for a moment and tell me in the comments, what city are you watching from? What time is it where you are? And most importantly, what does peace feel like to you? Your story might awaken someone else's, and if you'd like me to create a detailed video inspired by your journey, share it below. I read every single one. Also, before we continue deeper into how to activate the helix and calm your nervous system instantly, make sure you subscribe to our channel Beyond the Figure. We're on a mission to reach 10,000 souls who are ready to awaken peace from within. If this message resonates with you, help us grow. Share this video with someone who needs calm today. Because sometimes the light we share with others is the same light that heals us. And as you breathe right now, in this very moment, remember, the helix inside you is not broken, it's waiting for you to listen. 4. They told us to breathe deeply when anxiety comes. But no one told us why the breath holds so much power. The secret lies in the helix. Every inhale, every exhale, it's not just air, it's information. Your breath carries coded messages to a sacred system within you, the vagus nerve, the body's quiet conductor of peace. This single nerve wanders from your brainstem through your face, throat, lungs, and down into your heart and stomach. It spirals, just like the double helix, connecting mind and body in a single divine thread. And when anxiety floods your chest, it's this nerve that trembles first, losing its rhythm, until you call it back through awareness. Modern science maps it. Ancient mystics felt it. The difference is only language. In yoga, they called this awakening kundalini, the serpent energy rising through the spine. In Taoist alchemy, it was the microcosmic orbit, energy looping through two channels that form the same spiral pattern found in DNA. And in early Christian mysticism, the monks spoke of the breath of the spirit, the holy rhythm that descends through the body and renews the soul. Different names, one design, one helix. What's extraordinary is how science now validates what these mystics already knew, that the body's spiral structure isn't random. Every organ, every nerve, even the pattern of your heartbeat follows the geometry of the helix. It's as if creation used the same brushstroke, repeating the spiral across galaxies, shells, storms, and your very breath. When anxiety hits, this rhythm collapses. The body forgets the dance. Your breath becomes flat, your muscles coil, and the helix, the inner spiral of balance, loses its harmony. But the moment you breathe with awareness, the spiral begins again. You're not calming down. You're realigning with the code you were born with. Think of it this way. When you hum softly, sigh deeply, or stretch your neck slowly, you are sending a signal to your vagus nerve, whispering, "It's safe now." The body listens. Your heart rate slows, your thoughts quiet. The helix reactivates, silently weaving coherence between mind and body. In his book Molecules of Emotion by Dr. Candace Pert, she revealed that emotions are not abstract. They are molecular patterns, signals that dance through your cells in precise geometric waves. And among those patterns, the spiral, the helix, is the most sacred one. It's both your blueprint and your lifeline. So when you feel anxious, you're not broken. You're simply disconnected from the original rhythm that built you. Ancient healers never fought anxiety. They listened to it. They believed anxiety was the soul's alarm clock, reminding you that the spiral is tightening, that you've drifted too far from your breath, from the body's sacred symmetry. Imagine holding a seashell to your ear. You hear the ocean's echo, endless and soft. Now imagine doing that within yourself, tuning your awareness inward until you hear the quiet hum of your own helix. That's the sound of life in balance. And the beauty? You can awaken it anywhere. No incense, no ritual, just stillness and breath. Sit with your spine straight. Close your eyes. Breathe in deeply, as if you're tracing the shape of a spiral from your tailbone up to your crown. Hold it. Then exhale slowly. Let the spiral unwind back down. Repeat this 3 times, and you'll feel a subtle shift, as if your inner current realigns. That's not imagination. That's biology meeting divinity. The helix is not a theory. It's a bridge, a living bridge between your cells and the cosmos, between your DNA and your destiny. And the more you activate it, the quieter anxiety becomes. Not because it disappears, but because you rise above its frequency. The mystic poet Rumi once wrote, "Inside you, there's an energy twisting. It knows the way home. Don't resist its turning." Perhaps that's what the helix truly is, the way home. A design that whispers through every nerve, calling you back to peace. It's not about fighting your feelings. It's about flowing through them with the grace of the spiral. And once you understand this language, your entire perception of anxiety changes. You stop seeing it as the enemy and start hearing it as a guide. Because even anxiety, in its loudest moments, is simply trying to remind you of the calm that never left. What if your body already knows the code for peace, and all you need to do is remember how to unlock it?
The helix is not something you find outside yourself. It's the living current that moves through you every second. But when stress, overthinking, or fear dominate, that current freezes. It twists too tightly, like a cord under tension. Activating the helix means loosening that cord, allowing energy, breath, and emotion to move again in harmony. Every ancient culture had its own way of doing this. They didn't call it helix activation, but their practices all followed the same spiral rhythm: movement, vibration, stillness, release. The Sufis spun in circles, a spiral of surrender. The yogis breathed in measured waves, a spiral of control. The monks chanted in low tones, a spiral of vibration. And scientists today, with electrodes and brain scans, are only now seeing what they felt centuries ago. That spiral rhythm brings coherence to the heart and brain, silencing the storm of anxiety. So how do you awaken it in yourself? It begins with breath, but not just any breath. The spiral breath. Sit or stand comfortably. Imagine your breath not as air going in and out, but as a golden spiral moving through your spine. When you inhale, picture it rising upward, tailbone to crown, expanding with light. When you exhale, imagine it flowing back down, crown to root, releasing tension, old memories, noise. Each breath becomes a gentle rotation. With time, you'll feel something subtle, a vibration near your heart or a quiet warmth in the back of your neck. That's your vagus nerve reawakening, responding to rhythm. In The Healing Power of the Vagus Nerve by Stanley Rosenberg, he writes that when you hum, chant, or even sigh intentionally, the vibration moves through the same pathway that calms the nervous system. It's not imagination, it's the body's built-in tuning fork. That's why humming or chanting along isn't just spiritual, it's biological harmony. It's the helix speaking. Close your eyes now and try it. Softly, let the sound travel through your chest. You'll notice your thoughts pause, not vanish but slow down like a tide receding. Your heartbeat synchronizes with the sound. Your shoulders drop. The helix hums with you. Some traditions also used movement, slow rotations of the spine, neck, or wrists to awaken this current. Because anxiety doesn't only live in the mind, it lives in the body, in the tightening of muscles, the clenching of the jaw, the shallow breath we forget we're taking. By moving in circular patterns, small, gentle rotations, you mimic the spiral design of the helix. Each movement signals to your nervous system, I'm safe now. You reteach your body the forgotten language of softness. In the ancient text, The Tao of Health, Sex, and Longevity by Daniel Reed, there's a passage describing the spine as the dragon's path, the living helix that channels vitality from earth to heaven. It teaches that when breath and movement unite, anxiety cannot stay, because it has no rhythm to cling to. That's the secret. Anxiety thrives in rigidity. The helix thrives in flow. When you shift from control to rhythm, you silence anxiety not by fighting it, but by outdancing it. And here's something few people know. Even your voice carries spiral patterns. Sound travels in waves that curve, not in straight lines. When you speak kindly to yourself, whispering, I am safe, or I am here, you're literally sending spiraling waves through your cells, reprogramming the same body that once trembled. A 2019 study in The Biology of Belief by Dr. Bruce Lipton explains how self-talk changes cellular behavior. Cells respond to vibration, to frequency, not words alone. When the tone softens, the cells shift from protection to growth, and that's where the helix blooms, not in force but in tenderness. So the activation is not a ritual, it's a remembering that your body and spirit are not enemies. They are partners in a spiral, forever moving together. Try this daily. Sit quietly, breathe as though tracing a spiral. Hum softly with each exhale. Move your shoulders or spine in slow circles. Feel where your body softens. That's the Helix awakening. It's simple, it's ancient, it's real. And when you do this consistently, something changes, not in your outer life first, but in your inner current. The same situations that once triggered you begin to feel distant, not because the world changed, but because your frequency did. You rise above the noise, anchored in a pattern older than fear itself. The Helix becomes your shelter, and maybe that's what the mystics were trying to tell us all along, that the path to peace isn't found by running from anxiety, but by spiraling through it, until it dissolves back into stillness. Something changes the moment the Helix awakens, not in the air around you, but in the quiet space within you. It begins subtly. The chest feels lighter. The breath no longer rushes or fights to exist. And somewhere between your ribs, a silence appears. The kind that doesn't scare you anymore. You may not realize it right away, but that stillness is a sign of rebalancing. Your nervous system shifting from fight and flight to rest and receive. The Helix is not just an energy form. It's your body's natural code for peace, decoded through rhythm, breath, and sound. In The Body Keeps the Score by Dr. Bessel van der Kolk, he explains that trauma isn't stored in the mind as memory. It's stored in the body as energy patterns. When you awaken the Helix, those patterns begin to unwind. It's not just relaxation, it's release. The frozen emotions, the quiet grief, the unspoken fears, they begin to melt through vibration. That's why many people feel warmth, tears, or sudden calm after this practice. The Helix doesn't silence your emotions. It gives them a safe path to move. Think of it like a river that was dammed for years, the water behind it restless, confused, searching for a way to flow again. When you activate the Helix, that dam breaks gently. The water doesn't rush to destroy. It simply remembers how to move. This is what ancient mystics described as the return of the breath, and modern neuroscience now confirms it, that when the vagus nerve activates through vibration and slow exhalation, it signals safety to the entire body. The heart slows, the mind clears, the emotional centers in the brain begin to synchronize with the prefrontal cortex, the part that helps you think clearly and feel compassion. In Molecules of Emotion by Dr. Candace Pert, she writes, emotions are not abstract. They are the body's chemical responses to energy. When you shift your energy pattern, the spiral, your chemistry follows. You aren't escaping anxiety. You're transforming its signal into peace. But here's the part most people miss. The Helix doesn't just calm you temporarily. It changes your emotional identity. When you practice regularly, something profound unfolds. You stop identifying with the anxious thoughts. You begin to witness them as though they belong to a version of you that's gently fading. And that's when the emotional shift begins. From survival to serenity, there's an ancient Egyptian symbol, the double helix of the serpent, rising along the spine, meeting at the crown. It represented balance between sun and moon, masculine and feminine, logic and feeling. When both sides spiral in harmony, consciousness expands. This is not philosophy, it's biology in motion. The brain's left and right hemispheres communicate more smoothly when rhythm and breath synchronize. And as that happens, intuition becomes sharper, decisions become quieter. Your emotions no longer control you, they inform you. Have you ever noticed that when you're anxious, your world feels smaller? You stop seeing beauty, stop hearing softness, stop trusting time. But when the Helix opens, perception widens, colors seem richer. Sounds seem closer. It's as though the world itself exhales with you. In The HeartMath Solution by Doc Childrey and Howard Martin, they describe this state as coherence. When the heart and brain enter rhythmic alignment, emotion and logic dance in harmony. In this coherence, healing accelerates, not because of magic, but because your biology finally stops fighting itself. And that's why so many who practice Helix activation report more than calmness. They report clarity. Suddenly, decisions that once felt impossible begin to unfold naturally. You may find yourself forgiving someone you never thought you could, or feeling gratitude for something you once feared. That's the emotional alchemy of the Helix. It doesn't erase your story. It rewrites its vibration. Every time you breathe in rhythm, every time you hum that spiral tone, you are reminding your nervous system that peace is your original state. And slowly, anxiety loses its identity. If you could see it energetically, it would look like light unwinding, a tangled cord returning to its luminous shape. That is your helix, shining quietly in the background, guiding you back to your natural rhythm. So after today's practice, when you feel that faint warmth or inner silence, stay there for a while. Don't rush to label it or explain it. Just feel it. That's not nothing. That's your nervous system remembering home. And now, before we move further, ask yourself something. If this small spiral of breath can bring peace to your body, what might happen if your entire life began to follow that same rhythm? Let that question stay with you, because what comes next isn't just about calming your anxiety. It's about reshaping the way you exist inside time itself. Peace doesn't arrive as a miracle. It grows in the quiet choices you make every day. The helix only needs a few minutes of your attention, but those minutes, repeated, become medicine. Start small. Each morning, before you reach for your phone or your thoughts, place a hand on your chest. Feel your pulse. Breathe in through your nose, letting that breath travel up your spine in a gentle spiral. Then hum softly as you exhale, imagining golden waves circling down to your heart. That's it. That's your daily activation. A soft tuning of your inner current. It may not look like much, but over time, the nervous system begins to remember. The body starts to expect calm, the way it once expected chaos. In The Miracle of Mindfulness by Thich Nhat Hanh, he wrote, "Each breath we take, if done in awareness, connects heaven and earth within us. That is what this practice does. It makes you aware of the sacred in the simple. Do it again before sleep. The hum doesn't need to be loud. Even a whisper is enough. Close your eyes. Picture that same spiral glowing in your spine, slowly dimming as the night takes over. You'll notice your thoughts fade sooner. Your heartbeat slows. Your body learns to fall into peace instead of into worry. Within weeks, you may feel something shift, not dramatically, but softly, like dawn touching the edges of a dark sky. You'll wake up calmer. Conversations will carry less tension. Even silence will start to feel like a companion, not a void. In The Healing Code by Alexander Lloyd, it's described that consistent energy alignment allows the body's stress switches to turn off naturally. When that happens, the immune system strengthens and emotional resilience deepens. This is how transformation works. Slowly, rhythmically, almost invisibly. The helix becomes less a technique and more a way of living. Every breath a spiral, every thought a rhythm, every emotion a wave, returning to balance. And that's the beauty of it. The future doesn't rush toward you anymore. You move with it gracefully. The anxiety that once chased you becomes a teacher walking beside you, silent, humbled, and transformed. Peace doesn't arrive as a miracle. It grows in the quiet choices you make every day. The helix only needs a few minutes of your attention, but those minutes, repeated, become medicine. Start small. Each morning, before you reach for your phone or your thoughts, place a hand on your chest. Feel your pulse. Breathe in through your nose, letting that breath travel up your spine in a gentle spiral. Then hum softly as you exhale, imagining golden waves circling down to your heart. That's it. That's your daily activation. A soft tuning of your inner current. It may not look like much, but over time, the nervous system begins to remember. The body starts to expect calm, the way it once expected chaos. In The Miracle of Mindfulness by Thich Nhat Hanh, he wrote, "Each breath we take, if done in awareness, connects heaven and earth within us. That is what this practice does. It makes you aware of the sacred in the simple. Do it again before sleep. The hum doesn't need to be loud. Even a whisper is enough. Close your eyes. Picture that same spiral glowing in your spine, slowly dimming as the night takes over. You'll notice your thoughts fade sooner. Your heartbeat slows. Your body learns to fall into peace instead of into worry. Within weeks, you may feel something shift, not dramatically, but softly, like dawn touching the edges of a dark sky. You'll wake up calmer. Conversations will carry less tension. Even silence will start to feel like a companion, not a void. In the Healing Code by Alexander Lloyd, it's described that consistent energy alignment allows the body's stress switches to turn off naturally. When that happens, the immune system strengthens and emotional resilience deepens. This is how transformation works. Slowly, rhythmically, almost invisibly. The helix becomes less a technique and more a way of living. Every breath a spiral, every thought a rhythm, every emotion a wave, returning to balance. And that's the beauty of it. The future doesn't rush toward you anymore. You move with it gracefully. The anxiety that once chased you becomes a teacher walking beside you. Silent, humbled, and transformed, the helix of your being has now been touched. And perhaps, for the first time, you've felt the silence that was always there beneath your noise. This isn't magic. It's not hypnosis. It's remembrance. You've simply remembered who you are before the world told you who to be. When you breathe into the helix, you awaken the ancient spiral of calm that lives in every human spine. The same current the sages called Kundalini, the same pulse that moved through the temples of Egypt and whispered through the scrolls of Greece. It is the geometry of peace, encoded in you before you ever learned the word anxiety. And so, whenever your mind begins to spiral into fear again, remember, spirals can go both ways. One pulls you deeper into panic. The other pulls you upward into awareness. The difference lies in where you place your attention. When you trace the invisible helix with your breath, slow, deep, intentional, you become the still point in a spinning world. The heartbeat slows, the thoughts loosen, and for a brief, sacred moment, you meet your true self, unshaken, eternal, and beautifully human. Now imagine if millions of people learned to do this, to silence anxiety, not with pills or distractions, but with remembrance. That's the mission of this channel Beyond the Figure, to remind you of the design hidden within your own body, the language of calm that's written in your DNA. If this journey opens something within you, I invite you, join us. Help us reach 10,000 subscribers so we can awaken more minds and heal more hearts. Comment your name and city below. Tell us where and when you felt this moment of peace. And if you have your own story, a moment when anxiety broke you or when you discovered your strength, share it. I'll read them personally, and perhaps one day your story will become the next video we create together. For now, take one last breath. Feel the air enter the spiral within you. Exhale and let it all dissolve. The world outside may still spin, but inside the helix remains, perfectly still, perfectly you. Until next time, stay awake, stay gentle, and remember, you were designed for calm. End of script. Activate the helix to silence anxiety instantly.